Internet, this episode is brought to you by the good folks at Ewan Athletics. Let me tell you something about Ewan Athletics. DP, let me tell you. They just released a 2 Chainz shoe, okay? They got 2 of them. The second one is dope. Check that out on ewanathletics.com. They also got a 4th of July one coming out. You know what I really like? They got an Anthony Mason tribute at the end of July, and all the proceeds go to the family.
Ah, that's official.
Come on, for Big Mace.
I could not. How could I say anything bad about Ewing when here they are on the ground with the community?
Sure.
Anthony Mason tribute shoe.
Yeah, at the end of July. So listen, internets, if you want to check out Ewan Athletics, go to ewanathletics.com, put in code PETE10, save yourself 10% on your order, and it's free shipping. How could you go wrong? Listen, head on
free shipping and
10% off.
And 10%, yeah. So if they live in free shipping out of the country?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know about out of the country, but listen, put in Pete 10.
Free shipping with domestic 48 states.
Hey, maybe
Hawaii and Alaska. Hawaii.
Yeah,
Oh, they put Hawaii in the mix. They put Hawaii in the mix
you're
now.
Right, you're right.
As a matter of fact, Hawaii's a state.
You're right.
Puerto Rico gets in.
There you go. Internets, go to ewanathletics.com, put in Pete10, the code at checkout. Get yourself 10% off and free shipping. Now let's get to the show. Cheer.
Come on, everybody get set, let's go. It's the next episode. It's the Premium Pete Show. News, interviews, all of the info. Listen up, it's the Premium Pete Show. If you want the scoop in the low, down low, listen to the show, cause Milk said so. Fuck what you heard, better act like you know. It's the Premium Pete Show.
Internets, welcome back to another episode of the Premium Pete Show. Man, listen, the last couple of episodes, man, have been really, really special, man. You know, April Walker, doing all the Walker gems. Like, I really like that. We had April on a long time ago, but then brought her back really just to go over her book that she dropped and just the inspirational. The Father's Day episode was beautiful. Even like Memphis Bleak, man. Listen, Brooklyn's own, and Bleezy, man. Special episode. But, this one I've been wanting to do for a while. Somebody that, in this day and age, it's longevity is a hard thing to do. Or just be a part of. And just being able to flourish and being able to be good at your craft for so many years is a tough thing. And, when I think of that, I think of somebody like Steve Lobel. And, just watching him over the years, all the management stuff, the extraordinaire type crazy stuff that he does, and we're going to find out about all the deals and what it takes. And most importantly, what I wanted to do is inspire young people and young managers that maybe want to come into the game because, hey, listen, Steve, you're getting old, man. You're getting old. But internets, listen, welcome to the Premium P Show, Mr. Steve Lobel.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
Hey, listen, don't media train me here. You're answering so fucking media train.
I never had media training in my life.
Listen, right off the bat.
Age is just a number, man.
Right off the bat.
Yes, sir.
Been in the game for how many years, man?
Man, at least 3 decades.
Okay, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Jewish, right?
Yes, Jewish from Queens.
What was it like being Jewish in hip-hop, coming into the game? What was it like being Jewish in hip-hop?
I mean, I never looked at it like that back then, but, one of my mentors is Jewish, Leo Cohen. MC Storch, dear friend of mine, he was Jewish. I was surrounded by a lot of Jewish people.
Was it one of the Beastie Boys?
Yeah, Beastie Boys. Who else was back then Jewish? Russell Simmons, so to speak, is Jewish sometimes.
Yeah.
That's one of my mentors. So I don't know. I never looked at it like that. I really was raised by not looking at people as their religion or their race.
Sure. Definitely, I understand that. But the reason why I say that for is because it's even like I give you an example. I had Illmind on here. He's Filipino, producer Illmind. And I was like, yo, what was it like? Like, did you think people took you serious being like a Filipino kid coming in like, yo, I got beats? And then, them looking at you like, what does this kid got? Because people judge people of their parents or and to be honest with you, like I was telling my man Isaiah, I was on the train the other day and in New York City and I seen this kid, I think he may be, I don't know what he looked, maybe he looked Indian and he was mixed. And he had Migos blasting through his headphones. His pants were sagged, belt buckle out. He just, that he looked like, he looked like the way people dress now, But what I was saying back in the day, hip hop, you could tell who was hip hop and who wasn't hip hop just by the way they dressed, but by the way they look. You know what I mean?
At first, I say only God could judge. Mm-hmm. It's funny you say the train. I took the train today. I took the E train. When I come to New York, I like getting on the train and just exploring, so to speak. But I don't know. I lived off respect. Yeah. So it wasn't if I was a white guy, Jewish guy, whatever. It was just respect. I ask for respect. I demand respect, and I give respect. And, obviously I come in the game, if anybody didn't know, through Jam Master Jay, rest in peace, and Run DMC.
So put it this way, 30 years ago, or say 20-something years ago, kid from Queens, Steve Lobel, what did you even want to be growing up?
I really didn't know. Honestly, I started working at 9 years old, shoveling snow, raking leaves, delivering newspapers. I was busboy in restaurants, waiter. I just wanted to make money. Was dipping and dabbing some other things. And then, I just, fell into the whole Run DMC, Jam Master Jay lap, so to speak. Started touring with them.
But how, you met Jam Master Jay?
No, I grew up with them. I grew
Okay.
up with Run DMC and Jam Master Jay in Queens. Shout out to my man Mustafa. I went to Jamaica High School. It was like, 80-something, 82, 83, around that. Suck MCs just came out. And, at the end of the day, I think you need to put my phone on vibrate. My bad.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's the part of we working, right?
Yeah, I mean,
shut that damn
manager,
phone off.
hit the side and hit the. I started carrying Adidas bags. I didn't know. I just did where I could get in, where I fit in. Records, going on the road, hanging out at Def Jam Records, Rush Management, being around Russell, Leor, watching Kevin Lyles go from intern and grow.
Yeah, but how did that? Let's take it back for a second. First of all, you grew up. Your father and mom?
Yeah.
Okay. Both in Queens? Both married?
My mom and dad in Queens. They were married for 54 years. My mom passed 6 years ago.
Sorry to hear that. Rest in peace.
Thank you. I really never went to school. And I realized later on why I never went to school is because I have a Snickers bar and a Sun-Kissed soda every morning. And matter of fact, I got a Snickers bar right here. And the sugar rush had me going crazy. I couldn't sit in school. So I just never went to school. I got a GED. My dad and my mom was called by the principal all the time, and they tried to get me tutors. And it wasn't that I wasn't smart. I just couldn't sit in class. I'd rather go hang out, rather go roll dice, rather kick it, stuff like that. It was crazy.
Man, the environment around you had literally paused but sucked you in.
Yeah.
You think about it. A young kid from Queens growing up, no GED. Right, I mean, GED, but no really schooling, right? Did your parents look at you like, yo, what the fuck are you doing?
Nah, I mean, my dad always worked a lot, so I didn't see him a lot. I only really saw him on the weekends.
OG Ted,
yeah, shout out OG Ted, my life. And my mom was always home; she never worked. My dad had a couple different jobs, and they would always yell and scream at me, but I was just like, I don't know. And my dad always told me, like, if you want there was the BMX bicycles back in the days, like the Mongooses and stuff. Like, you want one, you got to go work for it. I wanted a Yamaha YZ125. Go work for it. Dirt bike. Yeah, so everything he said was like, if you want something to go work for, I'm not going to give it to you. There's no silver spoon here. So, and I try to play baseball and I try to play football. And I love that. I love sports and I was good at it. But you can't dedicate yourself to sports and really be great at that if you want to go make money to buy that bicycle or the Pumas or the Adidas shell toes. So I always worked. And, I was in Spofford when I was 13.
Really? Steve, I didn't even know you were such a fucking a troublesome kid, man.
No, I'm not. I'm not a troublesome.
Hey, listen, I was in Spofford. Listen, unfortunately, I think it's just, and this is my opinion for me, but I cared too much about the neighborhood, man. Neighborhood fucked me up. And I'm not saying they did something wrong to me because I was involved in everything, but I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to hang out all day. I wanted to smoke weed. I wanted to fucking make quick money. I wanted to do everything that was instant gratification at the moment, but I kind of knew it could hurt me in the long run, and I still did it. Like I was telling Bleak the other week, I was like, yo, a lot of OGs that were around me, there was a lot of older kids that were around me, but they really taught me how to crash and burn without really knowing that. They didn't really set me up. Like, they weren't like, yo, what you need to do is become a homeowner. What you need to do is stack some of your money and build your credit up. Nah, they were like, what you need to do is, let me show you how much money I got on me. So I was like, yo, I need to carry everything around on me. It's crazy because I think back, and this ain't about me, but I'm thinking back, I'm like, yo, I used to go to the club, I had 6,000-7,000, but that was all I had. Yeah. And I had it on me, and people used to pull it out with the rubber band, like peel off some money. Girls like, oh, look, you got a lot of money. Yeah, you know how we do.
Yeah, I wasn't around the crashers like to tell me to crash and burn. And my parents, didn't, neglect me or steer me in different ways. I I never got tied into like cigarettes and smoking weed and doing drugs and drinking. I didn't think that was cool. And again, teach his own. You know, I think I was working on my YZ 125. I was like 13. It was hot as hell in the garage, and it was summertime, and I always watched these beer commercials, and it looked good, the Lowenbrow, and there was a beer there, and I drank the beer at 13. I'm like, shh. It had me like twisted, and I was like, I think that made me never drink again. I never drank.
So you still never drank?
No, I don't drink. Like, you'll catch me maybe with a glass of champagne on New Year's or a Moscato on my birthday, or if I'm taking a long flight of Bally's, but I'm not a drinker.
And do you think that has to do with you trying it when you were at a young age?
Maybe. You know, my parents weren't drinkers or smokers and stuff like that. You know, again, I don't know. People always peer pressured me when I was young, going to junior high school, like smoke the cigarette, smoke some weed, and try to, you know, pressure me and I punch him in the face. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't a follower. I was a leader. I just was addicted to making money, but more so really working. Like, if you ask my dad right now, he'd say, Steve just wanted to always work.
Now, where does this we working come from? Is that?
I mean, we working comes from, honestly, my man Jay Reed, Pyru from L.A. He came up with this we working. And then I set up an Instagram a while ago and started a hashtag and we working, and it started from there. But, you know, my company's called A to Z Entertainment. And the reason why I called it that is because I did everything. So
what's it called again? My bad.
A to Z Entertainment.
Oh, A to Z.
So
okay.
Meaning I do everything from A to Z. I could road manage, A&R, executive produce, DJ, hype man, security, travel agent, press, publicity, everything you could imagine in the record industry, I did.
So you're not above and beyond anything, like even coming into the game? Like, are you one of those people that pulled up your sleeves and did whatever you had to do?
Yeah, I'm self-made, self-taught. Again, you know, Jam Master Jay gave me an opportunity. I would go on the road with Run DMC. It wasn't really a fully position. I would do whatever I needed to do. I was around Def Jam. I was around Rush Management.
So it was like a mentorship?
Yeah, it was like a mentorship, but just a friend and just seeing where I wanted to go with it. But then I didn't really see, like, how can I really financially make a lot of money? So what I did was, from all the money that I worked, like in the restaurants, busboy, waiter, shoveling snow, raking leaves, doing some other things, I opened up a bar. And I had a bar in Queens called Frankie and Johnny's. And then Frankie and Johnny's was near St. John's. So then I opened another place called Sports Library down the block from St. John's. So Chris Mullen, Mark Jackson used to come. You know, obviously Run DMC used to come. Jay used to always be there. And then he'd bring Onyx and just bring all these people that were in the music business, because I was like, Jay, I'm going to go do my own thing. And I'm going to leverage everything and have people come by my spots. Unfortunately, I had a partner, Italian kid, you know, smartest guy, went to St. John's Law School. We were young, and he answered every question on Jeopardy. Really smart, but he was addicted to coke, and I didn't know that. And he would just, every night after make money, he would come and try to take the money. And one day I just took him in the backyard, and I put a gun to his head and just, you know, spin the barrel, and I was going to kill him. I was just fucking mad, because I put hard-earned money, and he put money from money that he got from his father passing away in an elevator shaft. So I appreciated, you know, $1. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get rid of that. So I got another spot. It was more of a cafe, cappuccino, espresso, pastries, and I was doing other things in the streets and stuff. And then it was funny. My other bar, Onyx, shout out Fredro, Sticky, Sonny C's, and rest in peace to Big DS. So Sticky wanted to find a white Italian rapper to be like a Marky Mark. So he'd come to my bar, and he's like, yo, let's use the fraternity kids to find one. And he wanted to make like an exercise bicep type of Calvin Klein type of song. So he was using all these white boys, Italian kids from St. John's, to like cast to do the song. We found the kid, made the song. And then he was like, a bartender I had, his name was Ed Frank. He was a fraternity brother, but he worked at Sony doing retail, selling retail to the retail stores. So he worked on the weekends, and he was like, oh, he's seen Run DMC at the bar and Onyx. Like, oh, let me bring it to Relativity Records. I don't know if you remember Relativity back in days. So it was in Hollis, Queens. So the bar wasn't too far. So we took the kid there, and I met a gentleman named Alan Grumblatt that, you know, is the president of E1 right now. And we're in the meeting and stuff, and I was just there as the liaison, so to speak, but Jay was there and Onyx was there. And then Alan was like, hey, you want a job? And I looked at him like, why me? He said, I don't know, I just think there's something about you. Want a job? I said, I own bars, I own restaurants. I'm a hustler. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, let me give you a job. So I looked at Jay, and Jay used to always tell me to take advantage of him in a good way.
Sure.
And opportunities don't always knock. So I said, all right, cool. And he's like, I said, what's the job? He said, go around to the record stores in the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, Long Island, and put up posters. So I was like, all right. Didn't even ask to pay. He said, okay. And while I was in these record stores, I would ask the owners, and sometimes I would go to like, man, I forgot the chain stores, the big stores in New York back in the days, and how's this record selling? And at that time in Relativity, it was Fat Joe, Frankie Cutlass, M.O.P., the Beatnuts, Suave House, which 8-Bone, MJG, Tila, Mr. Mike, Ruthless Records with, Easy,
sure,
and so on and so forth. Common Sense, who everybody knows is Common. So I would be in these record stores and I would make notes, and I go back to Alan and say, this store's selling this, but this store's not selling that. He's like, well, that's real creative. And next thing you know, he's like, hey, you want to do radio? I was like, hold on, let me just conquer the whole United States. Let me call up record stores around the United States. Let me see what I could find and see what's selling and who's hot in these markets and stuff. He was like, wow, like I didn't ask you to do that, but I just want to be innovative. And then he's like, you want to do radio? So I did that for a minute. And the next thing you know, he said to me, we got an artist named Fat Joe. I was like, oh, yeah, I know Fat Joe's in the Bronx. And he was like, yeah, you want to go on the road with him? Because no one wants to go on the road with him. So I was like,
why was
I don't
that?
know. There's no one wants to go on the road with him. So we used to go to Fantastic in Massapequa. Any OG knows about Fantastic. Every record company used to rent the van there. We'd rent the van, and we would drive. Fat Joe didn't fly back then. And we'd hit up the Midwest like Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit, go to Miami. And we hit up, radio promo back then and retail promo and doing clubs and shows. And Alan would give us like $40 to eat. And Pun was his hype man, rest in peace. And Rated R, Full Flex, rest in peace. Raul T.S., I think Cuban Link was around, Armageddon, Triple Six. And we'd just get in his van and we would travel all over the place. And I would call Alan all the time because I worked for the label. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Alan, you got me out here with these Puerto Ricans, and you only give me $40 to eat with these two fat dudes. Like, this money going to go quick. And he was like, and I'm like, Alan, you got me fucked up. They might want to beat the shit out of me. And I would always tell them to wire me money. And from there, man, I stayed in Relativity. Next thing you know, I was doing A&R. We signed Fatal Hussein. And then, I was just involved with all the projects there. And then Eazy-E was coming to New York, and he had signed a group called Bone Thugs and Harmony. And they had a song called Thuggish Ruggish Bone that was blowing up. We used to call the video music box that you control. Not Ralph McDaniel's thing, but the box television. You'd call up, if you remember that. And the record blew up. And then Eazy said he was coming to New York and bringing them to meet the label. And he brought them to New York. And that night we went to the tunnel, and the legendary tunnel. And that's the night we ran into Ice Cube. So if you watch Straight Outta Compton, there's a scene in there, but I wasn't there and Bone wasn't there. But Easy Dells tell Cube, I'm here with Bone Thugs. So some of them came, some went back to stayed in the hotel. And then Easy came out of the tunnel. He had a Pendleton flannel, two Samoans, bodyguards called the Twins. I'm going to walk back to the hotel. I never seen him again. And then I just took over the whole Bone Thugs and Harmony thing, and I stayed with them. So.
When you say you never seen him again, what do you mean? You talk about he
went
passed
back
away?
to L.A., got pneumonia, and he passed away, they said, from AIDS.
Yeah.
And then, I went to L.A., and then I stayed out there and built like a company out there, family, relationships, stayed out there for the weather. And I stayed out there doing all the Bone Thugs and Harmony projects, the solo projects, the Mo Thug Records projects. And then
as what? As a manager?
As an A&R. And then I fell into managing them. And then my partner, Big U came home from the penitentiary, and we discovered Nipsey Hussle. And then I worked with Sean Kingston out there, and Ayers and Man and Soulja Boy and Mustard and YG.
You got
the list goes on.
Listen.
We're going to go all over the place.
Slow the fuck down. Right? We got a lot of shit going on here. Let's get back to Fat Joe.
Right.
First time you met him, what was your interaction with him? What did he say to you?
I don't remember, man. And just so you know this, so while we're doing this interview, sometimes my memory will go in and out because it's public record that I was in Kanye's 30th birthday party at the Louis Vuitton store in Manhattan, and a shelf fell on my head, and I sued Louis Vuitton. So my memory goes in and out.
Really?
Yeah, it was at Kanye's
Did you get any money for that?
Yeah, I got some money, and they left me laying on the ground. And everybody and their mother was at that party, all the big dogs, and they didn't want to call an ambulance for me. They thought I was drunk. And I sued them just because they let me lay there, and my head got hit with a shelf. So
really?
I don't remember.
Did you get one of those pair of Kanye Louis Vuittons?
Nah, I didn't care. But I'm not a Louis Gucci guy. I'm a Polo and Adidas.
Okay.
But I don't remember the first time I met Joe, but we hit it off. Me and Joe are still friends till this day. I introduced him to his wife, Lorena.
Really?
Yeah, I introduced to his wife, Lorena. She grew up with me. She's a little younger, though. I don't remember the first time, like, what he said. But,
you know, right off the bat, for people who are listening that may not know, Steve Lobel, to me, A&R, manager, definitely relationship builder. You know, what if somebody had to ask, what do you do? Because I find that sometimes, like, I do a lot, but sometimes when someone asks me, I get a little stuck, or I get like, oh, well, what do you mean? What do I do? I can't explain it in one sentence. If somebody asks you, what do you do, Steve? What would you say?
A to Z.
Okay.
A to Z, like everything. And I don't know. I mean, over the years, I'd say the last 10 years, I would say that it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I'm a dot connector. I put deals together, play the middleman sometimes.
Let me ask you something. When you're putting a deal together,
yes,
you ever get anxious?
Depends on the deal.
Like, could you take us through some of the deals you've done, or some like that you're proud of? Or?
I mean, you know, when Puffy called me to do the Bone and Biggie song, Notorious Thugs, it was like 97. And Bone was wild. And I'm like, damn, I can't disappoint Puff, but how am I going to find these guys? I'm calling them. And back then, you know, we had cell phones, but these dudes were, you know, Hennessy'd up and weed smoked out. And, you know, I found them all, and they all pulled up to the record plant one at a time.
What did you tell them when you
said,
got
yo,
them?
Big's at the record plant. He's in town. Want to do a song? Get your fucking asses here.
Yeah.
And there's a check involved, but it's Big. And, you know, and then hearing how the song came out after Big died, you know, that I was anxious just to get that going, you know? I mean, there's so many different stories.
Listen, you mentioned about being a manager. It's like babysitting. What are some times that you feel like you babysat?
I mean, you know, when I signed up to be a manager, I ain't going to lie, I didn't know that I was going to be a high-paid babysitter, meaning that, you know, you have to stay on top of your clients and you have to, like, babysit, so to speak. I didn't know I was going to be a loan shark. Sometimes you got to be a loan shark. I didn't know that I was going to be a psychiatrist. I didn't know that I'd be stressed out half the time. I didn't know that, you know, I'd have to deal with baby mothers or girlfriends or wives or kids. You know, I've dealt with it all, and I didn't know that that's what it was. But again, when people ask me if I want to sign up for something, and if I know what it is, I said, yeah, and I'll learn later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What are some of the other big deals you did over the years that you feel proud of? Right.
I mean, I put together that Chameleonaire and Crazy Bone Riding Dirty, who won a Grammy. It was a huge record. You know.
So you got some Grammys.
Yeah, I got Grammys for that. And Crossroads, got a couple American Music Awards. See, I'm a type of guy, like, I say that money comes and goes, but history stays. And if you can continue to make history, you'll make money. And I do this for the love and passion, so I continue to make history. So when I go to the house and I see all the plaques and the awards and all the accolades, that's what makes me happy. Because I could always get money. Money don't define me. My Rolex don't define me. My car don't define me. What defines me is my principles, my morals, my loyalty, and my integrity.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you know, that sounded like an Army or Marine commercial. Real talk. It's real stuff. But, you know, only people who've been through that journey could really speak that passionately about it.
Yeah,
you know,
keep in mind, this in this game that much.
No, but keep in mind, again, we live in a day and age where people just see shit. They don't know how much it took to get there.
I was having that conversation this morning by trying to make something happen, and my man was at the house and my dad was there, and they're like, damn, that's a lot of work to get that done. I'm like, yeah. You know, the younger generation don't see what really goes on to put things together. They think just like, oh, we're going to make a record, throw it up on Instagram, and we're superstars. They don't understand that a lot of hard work has to go into it, a lot of sacrifice, and having a lot of patience.
You know, when you think about manager, right, and you manage, you know, keep it a list. So you manage Nipsey Hussle, manage
I managed
Bone
Nipsey
Thugs
Hussle for a while, yeah.
Manage Sean Kingston?
Yes, for a while, about 7 years, seen the world with him. Bone Thugs and Harmony, the Outlawz. Shout out the Outlawz, Tupac's artist.
But you know what's funny?
Scott Storch, I'm managing Scott Storch right now for the last year. Major comeback.
You know, listen, you know, a manager is a weird business. And what I mean by that is, you know, you don't get no raise, you know, and you don't get no 401k. You know,
health insurance.
So when you think about it, you know, you got to make more money. You got to get your clients more money for you to make more money.
Yeah, as a manager, you get paid off of everything that you bring or everything that someone solicits, and you close that deal.
So a percentage,
20%.
Okay,
you know.
So you you get that right out of the way when you're dealing with somebody. Like, look, this is what I'm going to take.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very blunt person and upfront. I'd rather be like that and be a shrewd businessman and not, you know, tell someone this and tell someone that, and it's all bullshit. I guess that's why I have a lot of great karma and people respect me, because I like to handle business. But you know, the manager years ago was a hard job. Now everybody wants to be a manager because that's where the money's at, because the artists are doing a lot of live performances and merch, so you get 20% of, you know, what they're doing. There's a lot of managers out there right now, and there's a lot of management companies forming. Manager back in the days, 5-10 years ago, people weren't trying to be that. They were trying to be something else that could get security, work at a label, get a 401k, have health insurance, have an expense account, have a steady check.
Yeah, but from what I know, and you correct me if you're wrong, you don't do paperwork with your clients, right?
Yes and no. Depends on who.
Reason why I say that for is, has it ever came back to bite you in the ass? Pause, if needed.
No.
No, really? No?
I don't think I ever had no paperwork with Bone Thugs and Harmony. I've been with them 23 years.
See, that's rare.
Very rare.
That's
very
rare. But that goes to show the fact of that you proved yourself time and time again. You know. But back to speaking about doing deals, right? And you said, you know, one of them with Puffy and Big. What are some of the, you know, you did a lot of different other stuff. I know you do halftime stuff for the NBA.
Yeah.
Right. What are other stuff that you have done that you either impress yourself or have been able to, you know, make a lot of money with?
I mean, man, like I said, I've done so much stuff. So maybe as we go, I could come up with things. But I've been involved with a lot of things. You know, Jimmy Iovine once had told us, you know, I had Bone Thugs signed over to Interscope in 2007. We had put a single out with Akon called I Tried, and Swiss Beats was involved, and we had a video budget. And I said, you know what? Let's take that video budget and shoot a movie. And we shot a movie called I Tried. And Nipsey Hussle was even in that movie, you know, playing a role in there. And we came out, and that DVD exploded. And he was like, wow, that's a smart idea, instead of shooting videos. And we took the videos out of the movie, so to speak. You know, another story is like, you know, I'm sitting in front of Jimmy Iovine with Swiss, and he's like, you want me to sign Bone Thugs and Harmony without Bizzy Bone? Dr. Dre saying Bizzy Bone is the best.
Where was Bizzy?
Leader. Bizzy had disappeared for like 10 years of the stint of the career, and Fleshbone had gone to jail. And he said, you want me to do that? He goes, who's going to put their balls on the line? I looked at Swizz, I looked at Jimmy, and I said, I will. And a lot of his staff didn't want him to sign Bone in 2007, and we debuted #1. We won American Music Award, sold over 1 million records, and he's like, wow, you were right. So, you know, I feel like that's an accomplishment, so to speak. You know, when Nipsey Hussle, when, you know, Nipsey was doing his thing in South Central, part of Big U came home from jail. He said, I want to, you know, put an artist on through my hood, the Rolling 60s. And I said, bring me stuff. He kept bringing me stuff. And I'd go to the hood, and I was in my Range driving back on the 405. I had my little Mexican homie with me, and we're listening to some music. It was a CD called the Slauson Boys. And I called him. I said, man, this is amazing. It reminds me of it reminds me of 50, but it's a West Coast. He had melodies and hooks, and he was spitting. And I said I want to meet him, and we had to go to a liquor store and pull out a DVD with a hanger to the bulletproof glass. Took the DVD back to the house. He watched it. I'm like, dang, he looks like Snoop Dogg. And then he called, and he pulled up, and I said, yo, man, I'm fucking with you. And we just made an agreement, and we all fucked with each other, and I took him to every label. And they all said no. They were like, nah.
You talk about Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, Nipsey. Every label said no. And when I left the meetings, they would call me like, you by yourself? I'm like, yeah. You know that's Big U. Yo, you know it's the 60s. I'm like, and like I fear no one but God. Like, this kid's talented.
Wait,
and,
what were they saying?
You know, yo, this is the 60s. Or this is, you know, Big U and the Nipsey. Like, yo.
Are you talking about like gang shit?
Yeah, gang shit. Real gang shit. Because now the gang culture, everybody's a blood or a Crip, and they really don't even know what it really means or it's about. I'm living in LA 20-some years, and I don't get extorted, and I say the N-word, and I'm not a bitch. A lot of dudes come to LA, let me get this off my chest, and that happens to them, and everybody's trying to gangbang. But again, Nipsey, if you watch this whole career, he never changed. So he went to every label. They said no. And a guy named Charlie Walk, who runs Universal Republic, was at Epic at the time. He said, I'm going to sign him off his name. And then Nipsey blew the fuck up over the years with a mixtape, and he's still growing. And if there's a song called Keys to My City, and he's saying in the third verse, he's saying Def Jam past Capital, Atlantic 2, Dre, da-da-da. My brother Sam had some time to do. Yeah, Steve is cool, Big U's an animal, but we still had shit to do. And then we did it, you know, and now everybody jumps on the bandwagon because most people in this game or in life are followers, they're not leaders. But I find a lot of things in the beginning, it takes time to grow and blow up. And unfortunately, some things last, some don't. But you just look at Nipsey now, he's still the same person. He built a real brand. Yeah, he never hit record, he never #1 record, didn't put out a real album yet. But he built a brand and longevity, and that's what it counts. So, you know, that's just one thing.
No, most definitely. But what do you think about the industry politics? Like, and how do you personally navigate through them?
I hate the industry politics.
But these are the same people that you're trying to get deals with.
Yeah.
These are the same people that you're trying to eat with or So it's tough.
It's very tough, but I know who to deal with. I've been doing it for so long that I'll be associated with someone, but I'll never call them to try to get a check with them because I know their true colors. So at the end of the day, the industry, that's the thing I hate about the industry. The politics, the bullshit, the fakeness. 95% is bullshit. No one keeps their word. No one follows up. Everybody want to tell you this and
so
that.
How does someone as a manager do business?
I mastered it, man. I'm continue doing business. How I look.
What's the sauce?
I can't give you that sauce. You gotta go to Steve Lobel Consulting and pay that fee.
A to Z.
Get that sauce. No, I got my Steve Lobel Consulting business too. Shout out my man Double D in Detroit who runs it. But we consult artists and
No, I'm sure. But what I'm saying is,
put it this way, I'm a people's person. I know how to navigate the stuff. I think people get intimidated by me because I'm straightforward, and if they BS me, I'll let them know that.
You mentioned something that you're in LA, you never got extorted, and you said you used the N word, right? But what does that have to do with being extorted?
What do I say that is? Because in this music business, okay, you could be a rapper and you can get extorted. You could be in your own neighborhood and get extorted.
You could be an athlete and get extorted.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that people come to LA, people come to New York, people get in the music business, and if they don't got no respect or they don't got no backbone and they're not a man, they might get extorted, they might get punked. You know where I'm going with it. You know what it is. You're from the streets.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is, of course. But what I'm saying is, like when you said, I say the N word. The thing is, we're in a. Here's the thing. Like I know you are a real dude. I know that you're passionate. I know that you have great relationships. But in this climate of the in time and stuff like that, what I don't even think.
Well, we talking about the N word. Okay, yeah. In this climate and time, and for decades, it's been a situation that is a problem with some Afro-American people when a white person says the N word.
Yeah.
Russell Simmons went on the Breakfast Club and he said, Steve Lobel, he gets a pass. He could say the N word. I've been in situations that I did say the N word around some Afro-American people, and they try to extort me or try to
come at
pressure me.
Yeah.
And I said, you're going to kill me first. So it all depends. What circle you in. Like,
no.
I'm working the corporate world. I'm in the offices. I'm also in the streets too.
No,
a lot
I
of people
understand
don't do that. So I'm just telling you on that perspective.
No, I understand it. But what I'm saying is two things. One is I respect the shit out of Russell Simmons, but giving a pass is like that don't make no sense to me. No disrespect to you, but just hear me out. Because like if you in LA at the corner store and you say it, and then these dudes are trying to like say like, yo, we need to snuff this dude for saying it. Like you can't. But yo, Russell Simmons said I said it. No, I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just saying. Yeah. But my mindset, from being an Italian white guy, right? From my mindset, like what's even the necessity to even like want to even say like yo like if Russell Simmons told me that I could say it, I still wouldn't fucking give a fuck.
No, I get what you're saying, and all due respect, I mean, I grew up saying it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying to you in general that sometimes in this business or in streets or life, people don't like when a Caucasian might say that.
Because of, and you know why I agree. Listen, the reason why I say this for is again, and I'm not judging your passionate,
right,
your relationships, your realness. I'm not judging that. But being that, keep in mind, Russell Simmons may say you get a pass, but Joe
Schmo say no.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is this: with the history behind that and the stain on that. For me, like it's so funny. I've been around a lot of obviously white dudes. Growing up, where white dudes used to say, "Oh, why are you trying to act black?"
Oh, man.
People used to call me a wigger back in the day.
Me too.
Right? But I ain't trying to act black. Like I remember, like when I tell this story all the time. I went to my barber. I was like, put 3 cuts in my eyebrow. They're like, what do you want to be black? I said, no, I want to be like Kane. Because I was that passionate about that. So I understand what you're saying. But the thing is this: there's a lot of people, especially white people, who say, well, they could use it. Why can't we? Well, here's the thing: why would you want to use it? Why would you want to use a word that is used for for what it was used for the way they address people, the stain of bro, the history of that word, like that's the thing. I feel like some white people, not meaning you, but some white people, they feel like they're missing out because they're not saying it, and they get a chance to say it and they can't say it.
Correct, but it was used of me growing up. Of that's what everybody would say.
Being my man, or something like that.
And it's still every day. It's blah, blah, blah. People are like, yo, but he's white, and I say that is not an Afro-American person, it's a slave. But it's funny you say that, that's why I want to do this podcast with you, because we have a lot of similarities.
Sure.
I love when you say, people say to you, why do you think you're black? Or you're a wigger. I get that till this day.
Yeah.
Yo, why you think you hip hop? Why you think you black? Why you think you this? Why you think you that? I look at these people like you're so fucking ignorant.
Yeah, sure.
And it goes back to my hip hop don't know you thing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, hip hop's been around, I would say 42, 43 years. And at the end of the day, it's controlling the world. It's controlling the youth, no matter if you're Asian, Spanish, black,
Sure.
all types of stuff.
And it's mainstream now.
Yes, mainstream to the max. And I'll stereotype right now white kids. I'll meet rich white kids that would never want to go to the LA County jail and wouldn't last. I don't want to go there. Saying the N-word, pants off their ass, fake chain, hat backwards, following the trend of hip-hop, not even really knowing it. And I'm like, you know who Third Base is? Or you know who the Beastie Boys is? They say, no. I'm like, hip-hop don't know you. You understand? So, but all these kids, when you go to a lot of these shows, there's a lot of white kids there. And I would say you would never last in the hood. It's a different thing. Well, in New York, we grew up white, Spanish, black. But when you travel the world, it's not like New York. The white kids in L.A. are not like the white boys in New York. When they see me in L.A., they're like, what's wrong with you? Like, what do you do? They think I'm like an alien. Because the white boys are more like nerds and geeks. But the white boys in New York, they thugged out.
Sure,
they go to the island, they'll slice you up. They stealing cars, they got tats, they working out. It's a different ballgame.
I always say it's the environment. I know Chinese dudes that are hood. You know what I mean? Because they grew up in the hood. You know what I mean? So it's the environment you're around. I know, like even like there was a Spanish dude that used to hang out when I used to live. After I moved out of Coney Island and I used to live in Bensonhurst. I know a Spanish dude that thought he was Italian because all he hung around was like mob guys and different type of Cadillac. So you know what I'm saying? You
I was a Greedo at one point. I had an Eldorado Cadillac Barrett's. Used to go to Hamptons or used to go to Avante. Yeah.
Hey, listen, that's a fucking beautiful thing. When you talk about extortion, did you ever protect Sean Kingston from extortion?
I mean, I don't like to say that word like...
Not protect, but did you ever advise him?
I don't want to say extortion because people go to jail for that. You know what I mean? So, but I did say it earlier, so I'm not going to take it back. Sean Kingston's like a son to me. I started working with Sean when he was 17 years old. I seen the world because of Sean Kingston. What
do you mean by that?
I seen every goddamn country, continent. Not states, because the states I seen with every rapper I worked with. But I mean Estonia, Prague, Tel Aviv.
Yo, I'll tell you one thing, man. Until you got to Tel Aviv, you had me lost. That's how I know I still need to do a lot more in life as far as like, what'd you say again?
Prague, Estonia, Geneva.
Yeah, what's good in Prague? Burgers, fries?
Prague was just amazing. Like, I got stuck there for like 5 days, and it was just amazing. See, the problem is, look, first of all, I'm blessed because I would have never seen the world, and I've seen it numerous amount of times, if I wasn't in the music business. There was no way that I could afford to see the world. Second of all, I make sure when I go around the world, I try to take the artist to go out. I tell the promoter, get us a tour guide. We're not sitting in a hotel. Let's move around. Let's try the food. Let's go see different tour things. Let's experiment things. Let's do things. Some artists want to do it, some don't. So I've seen the world. And that was because of Sean Kingston.
But how did you even link up with Sean Kingston?
I linked up with Sean Kingston because his brother had an issue with somebody. And this was Sean when he first came out. He had a record called Colors, and The Game was on it. Sean's a rapper. If you look at Sean's arm, front hand, it says franchise. He was a rapper. And Sean is a rapper. And he could definitely rap. And he could freestyle. But when he got with J.R. Rodham, they told him to sing, and he started singing and so on and so forth. He's very talented, but he's not Usher. He's not Michael Jackson as a singer. He was a rapper. But again, these days, and in the past, a lot of people could sing if you put auto-tunes and stuff like that. So he had an issue that was going on. His brother had a problem with somebody. And then they called me and my partner, Big U, and we went there, and they were shooting a video on Crenshaw. And we took care of it, and he left. Everybody left, and we stayed there. And then I started working with Sean. And then from there, I became like his stepdad. He gets into a lot of fucking problems. He's always in the news with problems.
But why do you think?
I mean, like a lot of people get in problems. But I will say this, confidently. Sean, we've cleaned up a lot of things for Sean.
Now, what happened? You're not managing him no more?
No. I mean, he's like my stepson. Well, we were supposed to shoot Growing Up Hip Hop. He still reaches out to me. His mom is my people. Jen McDaniels, his manager's my people. And, I bring different things, and, we're like family.
Is there a reason why
Christmas and stuff. At the end of the day, nothing lasts forever, so to speak, but we're still connected in some ways. Bone Thugs, I'm still connected with Nipsey. I'm connected with everybody. But, when you're a manager, you have to dedicate your time 24/7. And to be honest with you, my mom passed away. It made me wake up and realize that I got to dedicate my time now to myself and my dad and to certain things.
Yeah.
And have balance.
You have a great, great relationship with your dad,
well, recently, only when my mom passed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it bad growing up, you said?
It wasn't bad, my dad wasn't around a lot. He worked a few jobs.
Sure.
He'd be around the weekends and stuff, and we'd argue a lot. We're a lot of similarities. Yeah. And my mom passed. It brought me and my dad really close. I lost a brother, so I watched my dad bury
How'd that
son.
happen?
My brother was a doctor in Los Angeles, and he had 4 back operations. He got addicted to painkillers. He came to visit my parents, and then he took too many, and he passed away.
Overdose.
Not like an addiction of overdose. It's just he had so much pain from these operations that he was taking so many, and his heart stopped. My dad's been through a stillborn, taken out of the toilet and burying it. So when I go to cemeteries, every time I come to New York and visit my mom, there's a tombstone that says Baby Lobel. They never got to name it.
Oh, so they lost a baby. Yeah.
And my mom had a couple of miscarriages and had a baby. Like I said, it says Baby Lobel. My brother's buried there. So, me and my dad got really close when my mother passed away.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's important to have a father figure in your life, man. Especially, son and father, or even just father and, daughter. It's important, So when I see you show love and it's important that people get to see that, man. It's inspiring.
Yeah, a lot of people love OG Ted because I be throwing him up on the gram, but...
Yeah, I seen you recently just put him up, and I seen, mad people like Nori shouting him out. Buster.
Yeah. He's got a girlfriend now, and I couldn't accept that in the beginning. But, I'm not here a lot, so she's there for him.
You're sure he needs somebody.
And, and my dad always tells me as you get older, you need someone to take care of you. And, it's you have to have balance, and your family first. But I was just running around the world, and I was just working so much that I missed out on a lot of opportunities. So my mother died. I had a lot of regrets.
Yeah, regrets, right, that you didn't get a chance to spend some time.
Spend enough time and stuff, yeah.
As a manager, it's got to be tough, But do manager get groupies, man?
Yeah, look, I want to say this real quick. Like, everybody needs a mentor in life, and my dad is like my mentor in Russell. But, I do a lot of motivational speaking at colleges and high schools and juvenile halls and drug rehab centers. And I noticed that a lot of the children don't have a mother or father in their life.
Sure.
Either they're in the streets on drugs, or they just had the child and they weren't there for them, or they're locked up. And I try to tell people when I speak, like, if you're a man or a boy or a gangster and if you have a child, be a man and take care of your child.
Sure. Because it affects them. Listen, let me tell you something.
It affects them.
I live by this, and anybody who listening, who knows me, knows how much I mean, almost every episode, I want to find out about, the person, if they live with their father or mother. I've seen girls that I know grow up with no father chase a man forever, because they didn't have that father figure in their life. That's why I always push this presence over presence, because meaning like be there will do more than giving a gift.
Right.
And we all got regrets and make mistakes and stuff like that. But, being there, why'd you never have a kid, man?
Well, and it's about the choice making life. So groupies, like you say in groupies, right? Of course, everybody got a groupie. It could be the bag carrier, the security guard. It's crazy because there's so many groupies around the world that are just trying to be around a celebrity, or if they can't get to the celebrity, get around the entourage. Me personally, I was never about that. I was just about my business. And I just had to recently tell somebody who was young, was working around someone that we know. And I said, when you're around someone, you're working, it ain't about the girls. It ain't about smoking weed, drinking, and fucking up. It's about handling the business. Because if you had a job at Citibank, or if you had a job at a school, or anywhere, you don't bring your homies to work. You don't get drunk and high. And that's what I try to do with my artists when we go to meetings. I try to be the meetings early and try not to come and smell like alcohol or weed and be professional. So I was just...
Yeah, but how hard is that? You say that like it sounds easy.
Hard. It's hard. Yeah. But I lie. If the meeting's at 3, I'm going to tell them the meeting's at 2:30. Even with the flights right now. When it's a flight, it's 7 a.m., I'm telling them it's 5 a.m. And I get the same artist for 10 years straight, and they're like, damn, he keeps getting us.
You deal with a lot of pushback, even like Scott Storch, you've been a big part of bringing him back.
Yeah, it's been about a year I've been with him.
And fighting his demons, you know what I mean? How tough is that dealing with him? Because I know, with somebody that, has been accomplished, it's tough to deal with, he's
right.
Probably has set in a lot of his ways, no?
Right, but I still want to go back to something you asked me because it's important to me. So I wasn't caught up with the groupies, and I always believe in karma. You know, it's funny. Guys will be out there cheating on a girl. But when a girl cheats on a guy, he ready to dog her, get rid of her and everything, right? So I always was in long relationships. I've had girls for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and I never cheated. I was just loyal to them. But I traveled too much. I worked too hard, and I lost them all. Because they're not going to sit around and wait for me when I'm moving and shaking, and they want to go bowling. They want to go to the movies. Girls need attention, and I lost a lot of great women.
You ever regret that?
Yeah. And I regret that I don't have no children. I'm 51. I know I look 38. Thank you.
Yeah. 39.
And, you know, when I did that Millionaire Matchmaker show twice, and women were hitting me like, you're such a great guy, but...
Wait, you jump over things so fucking
hold
quick.
On,
hold on.
So I'm thinking about adopting, but I always wanted, if I had a child, I wanted to have a child with someone I'm going to be with. I'm going to be there for the child. Goes back to what I said earlier, because if I'm traveling so much, I can't be there. And I salute Scooter Braun because he balances it and understands it. I didn't want to. I wanted to be there. I always ask him that. He says I got a great woman and a great team, but I had that too. But it just happened. So like I said, I might adopt.
Older kid like me?
Yeah, or who knows? But at the end of the day, that's another regret. We went to another story. What was the other question? Not the Millionaire Matchmaker. You had asked me something else. What else were we talking about? And I went back.
I don't know. First you told me that you had a bad memory. Now I fucking got a bad memory.
Who caught it? Because I went to I don't have a child, but then we were talking about something else.
Why you never had a kid? Did Millionaire Matchmaker.
Oh yeah, I did Millionaire Matchmaker twice. Wasn't really looking for love.
How'd that happen?
Someone called me and said, you want to do Millionaire Matchmaker? I didn't even know what the fuck it was. I called my cousin in Florida, and she says, oh, my God, I love that show. You should do it. And I did it, and I brought the culture to that show. I brought the date to the Scratch Academy, Jam Master Jay Scratch Academy, and had Jam Master Jay's son teach us how to DJ, and that was the date. They loved that. And then the second time I did it, I brought OG Ted on.
Okay.
And he picked a girl through the mirror, and the girl Masika was on there, the one who was on Love and Hip Hop and stuff. And I brought Crazy Bone on that episode. He rapped with Patty Stanger in the studio. And I took the girl on a gondola ride and opened a little picnic basket. And the first episode, I shut down Philippe Childs. I cooked for her.
Smooth motherfucker.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of smooth shit.
Was that when that was recently?
A few years ago, Patty Stanger, she calls me a tough teddy bear.
Hey, listen.
And
I won't call you that, but
yeah, I did a lot of reality shows. I did Road to Stardom
back
in 2004. Missy Elliott, Yellow Wolf was on that. It traveled around every city. Finding people to challenge, 13 people, and they get to deal with Missy. So I was ahead of my time with reality shows, and then I did Manager Celebrity, and I did Millionaire Matchmaker twice. I'm working on some TV stuff right now. I'm working on my book, a bunch of shit.
With Bone Thugs, right?
Yeah.
You've been with them so long.
Yeah.
And you dealt with I'm sure a lot of drama, man.
It's 5 Kanye's, 5 Jay-Z's,
You ever want to quit on them?
Yeah. I just had a conversation with Lazy Bone the other day. I said, man, I'm about to quit, man.
Why is that just hard to get through sometimes?
Yeah, just like been through so much stuff with them, and sometimes it gets frustrating. Everybody's old, everybody's stuck in their ways. I need answers right away. Sometimes you don't get the answers right way. I don't know, but it's more of a, it's a love, loyalty thing. Sometimes in life you just want to say fuck it. But, back to Scott, yeah. So with Scott, I have a talk show called Live with Steve Lobel.
I like that, man. Let me tell you something.
Man.
Over the years when you were doing it, I liked it, man. I liked it.
I just did it out the blue, used my relationships. And my first one was with J. Cole. And then from there, I just interviewed a lot of people. So I want to my man Raul from Terror Squad, he was with Scott. And I saw him on Instagram, and he hit me. And I said, yo, Raul, I need to interview Scott. And he's like, come through. So I came through, and he wasn't there, but Scott was there. And I interviewed Scott. And then Scott said, Steve, you want to manage me?
Really?
And I said, damn. And I didn't know all the stuff he's been through. And I said, okay, cool. And then managed the producer. So I winged it. I'm like, it's rock and roll. So I just started calling A&Rs, calling rappers, calling managers, and like, let's work with Scott. And some were hesitant, some were cool, came over, because talent never leaves. And we just started going. And we were the first one to work with P&B Rock. A lot of these artists that are popping now. And we got a lot of things going on.
But how is that? Is that you putting that together? Like how?
Yeah, it was me putting it together.
But what makes you look for somebody like a P&B Rock?
His girl, Flo, she helped out a lot, helping changing his life, cleaning him up. And then I met her maybe 6 months after she got with him, and we did it together, do the Instagram together, and now, we're doing a lot of stuff.
But what makes you look for somebody like a P&B Rock?
I'm just looking for the next. I'm looking who just got signed. I'm looking who just got the next buzz.
Add to the street.
And my ears definitely to the street as an older guy, talk to young cats, and we were just bringing in people who before they were popping. I just got an ear and an eye to a lot of stuff.
But is it tough, like with Scott? You know what I mean? Is it also tough being a manager of somebody who's been around and then coming back?
Me and Scott argue a lot. Like I'm like a little big bro to him. We're both white Jewish kids. Not that has to do anything, but it's just funny, and we both respect each other for what we did in the business. But he's stuck in his ways. He's stubborn. I'm stuck in ways and stubborn too. But at the end of the day, he's used to one way, and that way has changed. So I just, I always got him working probably, so much that he's like, damn, you really be working. And sometimes, like, when I go out of town, I was like, when are you coming back? Like, why don't you stay a little bit more? Because, he likes to chill, but I like to work and just always make shit happen. Yeah. So, we have a cool relationship. It's,
Scott Storch, fucking, he be on the piano with that cigarette. That shit has a long ash. That shit never fucking...
Or a joint, man.
He be playing the piano with a fucking cigarette in his hand, and I'm like, does this dude ever puff it? Like, he just lets the shit burn.
I'm trying to get him to stop smoking cigarettes, but could I tell you something? I never managed to produce but I would be in sessions, but the beat was already made when we walked in. So now when I'm at the studio, I'll sit in the session. Sometimes like, all right, manager's out. Yeah. Or sometimes like, yo, Steve coming in. Sometimes I like to come sleeping just to watch him. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, guy's a fucking genius. Yeah. Like the way he creates the stuff and plays it and works everything around it and the melody, and next thing it comes out to some masterpieces. And, Billboard just did a great article on a lot of stuff that's going on and saying his rise back. I put him back with Dr. Dre. I gave him Dre's number. I had nothing to lose, and they mended it.
You got me, give me Dre's number?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that right now.
Hip-hop don't know you. Hip-hop don't know you.
I just did a lot of things, and I'm continually doing these things. Got him out on the road playing keys with a DJ and just being innovative and creative.
Yeah, I like that. I see that he's out on the road, playing the keys and stuff like that. Listen, Scott Storch is definitely a creative genius, man.
You got to get him up here one day.
Yeah. Listen, get him up here. Tell him fucking. I'll have as many cigarettes as he wants.
He loves eating good food, smoking nice weed, and making music.
Hey, listen, we got all that. We got all that. Now let me ask you something. When you think about a record deal, take us through the process of a record deal. Meaning, like, what does the manager do versus what the lawyer does? Say.
Okay, so a manager, and I'm glad you asked this question. A manager's job is to, let's rewind a second. So you find an artist, you believe in that artist, you do a deal with that artist, then you go and shop that artist to a record label, or to an A&R, to a president, depending on the relationships you have. Once you get into that label and you make the deal, they offer the deal first. They could say, hey, it's a $500,000 deal, $1 million deal, a $3 million deal, a $50,000 deal. Things vary these days, especially now. Deals are not the same. Then you say, okay, I want to negotiate the marketing budget, the video budget, the recording budget, the advance, who we're going to work with. Then once I negotiated all that, then I put it to the lawyer. I already negotiated everything, made everything go. Now I put the lawyer involved. Then the lawyer looks at the long form. He starts seeing if there's things in there, because I'm not a lawyer, that need to be changed or renegotiated or fixed, and so on and so forth. Then that deal gets done. An artist gets a percentage for their pocket, for an advance to live off of. If they're smart, they go put it down in a condo. If they're an idiot, they're going to buy a car or a chain.
Yeah.
And they regret it from years from now.
What's the one of the biggest deals you did?
Millions. Yeah. I mean, we did Bone Thugs and Harmony solo deals after they blew up. It was like a Michael Jackson deal.
Really? Like in what sense? For people who don't know.
It was meaning like major events, major recording budget, major everything, because they were so hot at the time that people wanted solo projects. It's the same thing with Wu-Tang. It's the same thing what's going on right now with Interscope. They'll give J. Cole a deal, but J. Cole signed to another label. They'll give YG a label deal. YG's at another label. Then we did the Mo Thug deal. Because they feel like this. If we have an artist like who already has a name in a fan base, if they're going to put out an artist, those artists are going to strictly, everybody's going to go buy that artist because they're associated with that artist who's already big already. You get it?
Yeah.
So then, you get the advance, you pay the lawyer 5% or hourly. You pay your manager 20%. You pay your business manager 5% because you want a business manager. A lot of people don't get it. But when the IRS comes and those taxes and a lot of people get jammed up, you regret it. And then you have your deal. And then you start going and start recording. You try to keep it under the recording budget.
Which
sometimes hardly never happens. And I'm going more so back in the days and years ago. But now these days, things are structured different. It's a 360 deal. So the labels,
what's your thoughts on 360 deals?
I mean, Leo said it best. I feel like at the end of the day that no one was selling records. So the label wanted a piece of pub, piece of the merch, piece of the touring, because records weren't selling as much. So I feel like, I watched interviews with Leo said this, like, if I'm going to invest my money in you, and I'm going to get my team that know everything and my connections and my relationship and make you grow and bigger than you are, then we deserve a piece of it.
Why? But why do you think so many people, when they hear 360, it's like they're scared of it?
Yeah, but I guarantee you a lot of the same people that did 360 deals.
Yeah.
They're scared of it because it was like a big thing going on, like culture vultures or, things about, they're robbing the artists and stuff. But, if you go...
Did Dame put you as a culture vulture on his Instagram?
Never.
Okay. You cool with Dame?
I'm cool with Dame. I respect Dame.
Hey, listen, at one point in time, he was putting the person after person after person after person.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I hope I don't see Steve Lobel up there, man.
I respect Dame. And I love listening to him talk. People couldn't handle him, man. He was too real and straightforward and intimidating. So at the end of the day, I got a story, man. I'll never forget, though, with Alan Grome about Damon Dash. Rockefeller and Relativity was in the same building.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was 79 Fifth Avenue at the time. And MOP was signed, and Jay-Z had a song with MOP. And we needed Jay-Z in the video. And we went downstairs to talk to Dame, me and Alan. And Dame was in there. He was getting a manicure, pedicure, had dogs running in the office. I'm like, I've never seen this before. I'm like, Dame, Jay need to get to this video. And right there on the spot, we negotiated a deal for that. And then Jay-Z went to Brooklyn to the video. I'll never forget this, walking in and see him getting a manicure, pedicure, and dogs are running down. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? And that's just that story. But these days, a lot of artists are doing it independently, and then the label's coming and trying to give you some money, which they're a bank, you have to pay it back.
Sure.
And a lot of artists are saying, you know what, I don't need the label.
Sure.
I've done it myself from SoundCloud or Spotify, from my own way, and now I don't need you no more. I'm gonna go get a great booking agent, do shows, get my show money, get my merch money, and Chance the Rapper's one of those guys who's done it. So the game has changed so much from when I've done it. I've come from, going into radio stations and bringing the record. Now you're just sending the record.
Sure.
Making collaborations on 2-inch, and you have to FedEx the 2-inch to New York to LA to get the vocals.
Yeah, you
on
speaking in a different language.
Yeah, video budget's $1 million.
Now how much are video budgets?
And you can shoot a video for free or $1,000 these days. So much stuff. I try to tell people that less is more and that quality over quantity. And, everybody's saying Keys. Yo, Khaled the Keys. I know Khaled since 95.
Mm-hmm.
I know him a long time.
What do you think of his progression?
That's family. His progression is his personality. Unfortunately or fortunately, personality trumps talent. I got personality, so I get people want to interview me because I got knowledge and experience. People want me on TV. Khaled has a great personality. He has relationships. He puts great records together. And he took advantage of that Snapchat thing and so on and so forth. He never changed as long as I've known him. And Fat Joe put him on. So, my keys, I don't want to follow because he says the key to success. My success was based off of never taking no for an answer. Pete, you don't want me on your podcast? Cool. Well, guess what? I'm going to make it happen. I'm making it happen. I'm coming through and we're going to do it. So I never took no for an answer. Not on no gangster shit, just on a professional, not taking no for an answer. Communication. You see how we communicate? Sure. What time? What's the address? Can we do this? Can we change this? Communication is the key in life. I never had communication in my personal life. Organization. If we're not organized, we're never going to make nothing of ourselves. Follow through. It's the biggest thing in the music industry. Following up. So following up, communication, not taking no for an answer, organization, and common sense. Common sense is not common, but you need common sense if you want to be in the music industry.
Listen, it's fucking. We got to take a break after that because those were the keys, but I'm gonna call them the gems from Mr. Steve Lobel. Listen, internets, grab yourself in Steve Lobel's part. Grab yourself a pastrami sandwich, pickle on the side, rye bread. Grab yourself some Martinelli's apple juice. I told you last time, and you know what? Fuck with the Martinelli's grape juice. I don't know if
how about a Dr. Brown's black cherry or a cream, also an egg cream.
Egg cream is good.
Pastrami on rye.
Okay.
Coleslaw.
Okay.
Kashavanikas.
By the time they
and
grab
a black
that,
and white cookie.
By the time they grab that, they're never going to press play again. But listen, internets, we're sitting here with my man Steve Lobel talking about his legendary journey in this music industry and just life in general. Don't go nowhere. Be right back. You listen to the Premium P Show. Cheer.
Yo, what's going on? This is Busy Bone.
This Crazy Bone.
Bone Thugs, and you listening to who?
The Premium P Show.
Yeah.
Internets, we already told you that this episode is brought to you by UN Athletics. UN Athletics is doing a bunch of dope shit. Their collaborations are listen, they gave us a discount code. Pete10. Put that in at the checkout. Get yourself 10% off and free shipping. Okay? Let me tell you something. We already told you about the Anthony Mason shoe they're doing with a tribute. All proceeds go to the family.
Official.
They just did 2 2-Chainz shoes that were dope. Mikey Likes It. Our guy Mikey Likes It has a shoe coming out with them.
What?
You see it? Yeah, all blue. Shit is dope. It's
Listen, I can fuck with that too because that shoe, I can't fuck with my man Mikey Likes It.
Why?
Does he have sugar-free ice cream yet?
I believe he does.
What?
I believe he does.
What?
So you get your fat ass over there. I mean, slim ass. I'm sorry.
Fat, slim.
Okay,
slim,
fat, slim. Slim, fat.
Slim, fast.
Over to Mikey Likes It, but also internets. Listen, head on over to unathletics.com. Put in code Pete10 at checkout. Get yourself 10% off and free shipping.
Free shipping is the wave right there.
That's it. Let's get back to the show. Cheer. Internets, and we're back sitting here with my man Steve Lobel. Lobel and Company.
Wow, that pastrami was amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, listen. Sometimes you got to have a break where you eat pastrami.
I need to go to Wohop down the block, man.
Wohop is legendary, man. Downstairs or upstairs?
Downstairs.
Okay,
only.
Only. Downstairs. Listen, some people don't fuck with Wohop, man, but I fuck with Wohop.
I love Wohop.
And it's open all night?
I usually go like 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning,
yeah,
8 at night.
Internet's is a Chinese food spot in Chinatown in New York City, man. So, I fuck with it, and Lobel fucks with it.
Amazing.
Listen, on the break we talk about the Outlawz, and you were managing the Outlawz. What's some of the crazy shit that happened while you were on the road with them?
It was a funny story. It wasn't even on the road. Tretch from Naughty by Nature.
Yep.
Dear friend, shout out KG, Vin Rock, dear friends. They invited the Outlawz to come, and there was going to be a Biggie and Pac tribute with MTV or VH1 at the time. And Fat Joe was there, and Run DMC and Jam Master Jay were there. And, they were still young. Pac had just died. And it was a tribute. Salt and Pepper was there. A bunch of people. It was iconic. And we came in, and I'll never forget Jam Master Jay and Run were telling the Outlawz, like, hey, man, just go in there and just play cool. Just be cool. Because, Puff was going to be in there. And a couple other people were going to be in there. It was like when temperatures were still a little warm, and people had passed away, and we went in there for the sound check. And Napoleon, I call him Muta, I love him, man. He's in Saudi Arabia now. He doesn't rap no more, nothing. He grabbed the mic out of Puff's. Like he went to grab the mic out of Puff's hand, and they all got escorted out.
What do you mean?
We didn't even get to do the show.
Really?
Which was fucked up. And
but why did he do that? Did
because he was young and wild, and just that's when Bad Boy and Death Row and all that stuff was still, hot, and he just did it, and it was just really, we got thrown out.
Really?
I was ready to cry because it's meant so much, And then Jay and Run and D like, why'd you do it? And he was just young and wild, and he did that, And a lot of people, don't really give the Outlawz, what they deserve. If Pac never passed, the Outlawz would be huge. Just like when Biggie died, no one gave Junior Mafia what they need to be. Shout out Little C's and Faith and Little Kim and everybody, And, people don't understand, but the Outlawz still own their publishing, and they've been on a lot of records, more than rappers that came out will never be part of 40 million, 50 million sold that they were on. They were just real dudes, and they still are. I just left them, and they're from the East Coast, and Pac's from the East Coast. People didn't understand that, So,
Jersey,
yeah, Jersey and Harlem and Brooklyn. So, I worked with them for years, still do. We just closed the deal with Patrick Ewing sneakers. Shout out my man Dave, for All Eyes on Me.
Okay, doing
Ewing
a collab.
Sneaker. Yeah,
Nice
collab. They're gonna be doing a outlaw movie, which I'll be in. Rest in peace to Fatal and Gaddafi, especially, and rest in peace to Pac. And another story. Me and Napoleon went out to Vegas, and we're driving this red Lexus convertible. We're out there for a show, and it was crazy because we did the show the day before, and when they went to go do Hit 'Em Up and Hail Mary stuff that Pac was on, the DAT, we used DAT.
Sure, the
back
tape.
then.
Yeah.
It stopped.
Really? What happened?
It just stopped. We never knew. What a coincidence this is. Is that Pac? Because he got killed in Vegas? It was weird. We never found out. We just thought it was God. So the next day, some of my Italian friends were out in Vegas, and they knew I was there. And in the Lexus convertible, we had a gun in the middle seat because we drove. And one thing about the Outlawz, they always had guns, but they were licensed. They would drive around L.A. with convertibles and guns. is after Pac died.
What was that? Something to like?
You know,
what's
shit.
convertible in guns? I
don't know. It's L.A., man. Just have it on your lap and convertible. I got a convertible and I got a license.
Shit,
in LA
man.
Right now.
Thank God I didn't grow up in L.A. because
but they didn't grow up there, but they just had that. And the point I'm saying is the story was, so I mean, my man Frankie from Long Island at the time, he comes and he was drunk and he's causing problems with the valet guy and arguments. And then the valet guy opened up the thing and looked, just being nosy, and he saw a gun. So he called the police.
Really?
That's why one thing about me, everybody knows me, I don't valet my car. I drive a convertible and I got a license to carry. But it's in my mind. Like, same thing with my brother with the medication. I won't take medication. So we got arrested, got handcuffed, everything, and then we were let go. And in Vegas, you get arrested in Vegas, you're fucked.
Why are you saying that for?
Gun, weed, whatever. Vegas is a tough state. And we got out, and then we went back and forth to, fighting, and we showed the permits, blah, 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 and we beat that. So that was a story. Another story, Run DMC story, because you asked me earlier about stories.
Yeah, I love
I'm
stories.
in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Run DMC, Jam Master Jay, my man Mustafa. We drove down North Carolina van. We went to a club to do a show. Got the van parked in the promoter's driveway in the club, locked in there. Fight breaks out. I'm like, yo, man, we stuck in this club, man. We're going to die. And I got on top of this fucking table in the club, and I acted like I was a karate kid, like I was a martial arts expert. My man Mustafa jumped on the table and just like, let's go. And we fought our way out of this fucking place. I don't know how we got out of it. Got the van, got the fuck out of Dodge because we were not deep.
Hey, listen, you have to get out of stuff like that. Listen, you mentioned to me about Suge, and what was your relationship with Suge Knight?
In passing all the time.
Okay.
I call him Simon. In passing, I knew him because of the industry and Bone, Pac, Outlawz, and he was cool to me, but I never really did business with him. I stayed far away but close. There was a situation that I felt and I thought. I was in a studio with the Outlawz with Suge, and I said the N-word. And supposedly Suge got offended and told someone to try to get at me. At that time, I had a different Rolex. I still have it, to take my Rolex, but nothing ever happened. And then I had a situation a couple of times with someone like, yeah, you remember me from that session. You need to go to the bank. And you need to give me $15,000. I said, you need to kill me first.
For what? But what for? Just
and
I don't try to shake you down, but I'm saying, but for what?
Because I had said the N-word in front of Suge, supposedly. Years later, I found out that wasn't the case. They were just trying to test me.
Okay, because you know why I say that for? Because I know you told me that, you thought it was right for people who Suge did a lot for to go put some money on his books.
Yeah, well, let me say
but
that.
The reason why I'm saying that for is no, go ahead, tell me. Go ahead.
Well, in Drink Champs, again, my partner Big U came home from jail, and he had a relationship with Suge because of Corrupt. And at the end of the day, I think that's when Suge really respected me from that, but he did respect me. Like I said, Suge never did anything to me. So on Drink Champs, I said, regardless if people judge Suge as a bad guy, good guy, karma or not, people know that Suge did not kill Biggie. People know that Suge did not kill Pac. If you still think that, then you really don't have your ear to the streets. But hold your thought, please. I said in that interview, I said in that Drink Champs, you know what? Suge is right now in the LA County Jail.
Yeah.
Is he doing good? I heard not. Physically. He did a lot for this culture. He did a lot for a lot of artists. And I've said that people should pull up to the county jail, and you're a fan, you're an artist that worked with him, you're an enemy, whatever you are, drop $20 in his books. I was just saying that as just a real person.
No, and I respect that, and I respect that even more because, to be honest with you, when you say that, in a session you said the N-word, and he said, for somebody to come at you,
I thought so. I thought
you don't think that he did that? Because you're saying someone came at you.
No, because they came at me weeks later, but years later I found out it wasn't because of that. I assumed.
But Suge didn't say nothing?
No. And in life, you should never assume, and I assumed.
Yeah.
It was just someone trying to say, you know what, I'm going to see if I can get him. Because there's been some white executives and white people that came to L.A. who got it. And it ain't even about white. Just people get extorted.
What do you think about this guy Bill Maher? Who recently he said the N word where he was saying the house. Did you see that?
Nah, I'd rather stay away from and talk about the music business than.
Well, he was. Is that how you say his name? Bill Maher or Meyer? Bill Moore. Is it Bill Moore? No. Mar. Okay, Bill Maher. I'm not know how to say it. But anyway, he was on. He has a show, and I guess they were talking about. And he used the N word, house, and saying the N word, that he would be in the house.
Yeah.
And for him to reference that, people went crazy. What do you think?
I don't even know.
No, because I guess what I'm saying, back to what I'm saying, is why even consider himself with the house N word? Like, why even be that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Honestly, look, like I said, to me, it doesn't even, in my sense, personally, me, just speaking from me, I don't need to ever use it.
Yeah, I mean,
and I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if Biggie came down from fucking from heaven and said, Pete, we give you a pass.
I use it occasionally because I grew up with it, but back to other things, like stories and stuff. Like I remember a story, the producers playing skills.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in Texas on a Bone Thugs tour. Those guys pulled up. They said they produce. I'm like, yo, follow the tour. They followed the tour. We built the relationship. The next thing you know, we got Crazy Bone in the studio and made Riding Dirty. And won a Grammy from it. No one expected that, Riding Dirty. So, just different stories.
Now let me ask you
I've
something.
been through. So
what about like in going into negotiations? Like with no leverage. You ever go in?
Oh man, that's the worst. I love that question.
How do you
when you have no leverage, man, you just got to be able to be savvy, man. I love leverage. I love leveraging things. People call me like leverage king. But
Lobel the leverager.
Man, it's like you just got to be savvy, man. Shoosh, if you got nothing to leverage, it just shows you that you're good, man. I didn't have a lot of deals. I had something to leverage, man. Most of the time, I just did it off of the savviness and the faith and God, and just staying on top of the situation instead of letting it crumble or fall apart.
Once a deal is set, right? What happens if the person, like the client you're dealing with, doesn't want to do it? You have to go back and clean that mess up.
Man, I'm also the Mr. Fixer, fix it up.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I...
You ever had that where somebody...
tons.
Yeah.
I always fixing stuff up. Say you're going to do this and don't do it. Relationships on the line. This one doesn't want to do it. This one, that. I recently say, like, sometimes I'm putting my life into the next grown man's life. If they don't want to do a show that day, I look bad and I make no money.
Sure.
So it's like... It's
has it been... I mean, look, I know you've done a lot of deals. And as we wind this episode down, just talking about some of the deals you did... Sometimes, I know a lot of publicists, I know a lot of managers. Sometimes, for what the money they get, it's not worth the headache. Has it been monetarily successful for you to be a manager in this business of hip hop for all these years?
I mean, I do a lot of headaches, and sometimes I'm like, it's not even worth it. And sometimes I don't get paid for it. So everything's not about the money. And that's what I try to tell the youth right now. Do this for the love and the passion. The money will come. And if you're going to try to do stuff for money, it's not going to get you nowhere. Everybody these days, I want the bag, I want the bag. It's not about the bag. The bag's going to come if you build it. And at the end of the day, I don't look at the candy. I look at the candy factory. People try to beat you for 1,000. Why would you want to beat me for 1,000? And I got all these relationships that I can help you and do so much when you can make millions with me. Because people's minds are petty. The younger generation, they right now will sell their mother down the river just to be cool on Instagram. Back in the days, we knew people that would sell their soul or their man or snitch on their man for a check. Now it's not even about the money, so to speak.
It's about the fame?
Even though I said money don't make a real person, it's about the fame, the likes, the coolness. And I will say this like respectfully, because I respect the mother, Kris Jenner. But the young girls are looking up to Kylie Jenner, 90 million followers. What's her resume? What's her stripes? Don't say she got a nice ass. We know a lot of girls with nice asses. But the young girls are looking up to this situation. You know what I mean? Look up to
Bro,
You
my
know-
daughter's 17. She bothers me to get this lip gloss from Kylie Jenner. I'm on a fucking website. It's crashing. I'm like, what am I doing? Where did I go wrong in life?
You didn't go no wrong, but it's social
I
media.
think that way sometimes because I'm like, yo, I wish I try to point her in the way, look, I respect the hustle. I just think that I would appreciate my daughter to have better role models than that.
Resumes and knowledge and experience. You know, a Daily News reporter called me earlier about something that's happened. And I said, sir, you're worrying about a rapper and what happened with somebody, he's got something going on. Why don't you go do a story about some kids who just graduated from high school in New York City or college and, write a story about that. But we always want the negative. We always want the what's going on, who's broke, who's dating who's doing this, who's doing that. Why am I worrying about if Premium Pete got money or not?
Yeah.
My relationship with Premium Pete is based off organically.
Sure.
Why am I worried about if this one's broke or this one's broke? And that's the problem. Everybody's always into everybody else's business and chit-chatting when they should worry about trying to make America great again or empowering each other.
No Trump, though.
Or staying positive and pushing people to help each other.
Sure. Because, it goes to show you that, you put a something positive on Instagram and may get 10,000 likes. You put up something where somebody's getting slapped or somebody get 1 million likes, that's just how the nature of the beast is. But, one thing I do say that I like about you is that, and it shows, I'm sure you did a lot of deals for people and looked out for a lot of people and made a lot of people money. And, people appreciate those relationships. I told you before, I like the way you go around and you big people up and you really love the culture of hip hop, man. And you love the people you're dealing with. Like, you're like a big brother or a father to some of these people, even if they're as same age as you. Your passion is definitely shows through, but, like if there's a young person coming up in this game of hip hop and wanting to manage somebody and become a manager, I know before we went to break, you gave a couple of gems. What would be your advice to somebody who wants to get in this management game?
Right. And I appreciate what you said, and rest in peace to Ice Pick J.
Absolutely.
It's like we don't, I feel like, we need to salute people while they're here.
Yeah.
Why are we saluting them when they die and posting up pictures? You know what I mean? Like, we should salute people, empower them, and respect them and give them their props while they're here, especially the people when we're talking about the culture and the music industry. And again, in the beginning of this interview, you said, Steve, it's hard to have someone continually stay in this business. I say I'm a dinosaur, but I'm fossil fuel because I stay relevant. But the gem to the young kid is, and I get this question a lot, I get so many young kids ask me, I want to be a manager. I said, well, be prepared to not have a life. Be prepared to work your ass off. Be prepared to go through a lot of ups and downs. You're not going to get paid in the beginning because you're not going to just walk into the game and manage Kanye or A$AP Rocky or Lil Yachty. You have to build it and grow with people. So while you're growing with them, you're not getting paid because the manager only gets paid when the artist makes money. And a lot of these new artists are not really making money yet. So you got to stick with this person if you believe in them. And don't care what everybody in the room says, oh, he's never going to make it. Oh, I don't like him. He's whack. If you believe in something, go with your gut. Don't follow what people say. Go with your gut. And you believe, go hard. And fight for your artist and knock down walls and push for him. But you know what? Maybe it'd be a handshake. Maybe it'd be a signed signature. People see paperwork, they run to the hills. But just do the best you can do and help your artist grow a brand. And people don't understand sometimes, they don't even know what a brand is. We're emotionally attached to a Snickers bar or a Rolex or a Mercedes or ABC or the Giants or Nikes or Adidas because they stick to the trend of same logo, same photos, same everything. Artists come in the game and they follow a trend. They'll switch up. The look will look different. The music will change up. A consistent artist is the one who wins. That's a real brand when the consumer's emotionally attached to you. So if you're an artist and you believe in them, go to, high schools and colleges and find guys who say they shoot film and videos and say, hey, I want you to shoot some videos from an artist. If you grow with us and we blow up because of the content you did, because we're living in the content world, maybe you could be our official videographer and shoot videos for us. Think, because people are out here ready to work for free to help something grow if they believe in it. Go to producers and create a sound with the artist. And go to studios and say, hey, I'll do this for that. Give to get. Everybody's a taker. I'm a giver. You know what I mean? So these young managers have to understand and read some books. There's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of knowledgeable stuff now that you could Google and learn about the music business. So I keep trying to tell everybody, we're in the music business. This is a business. We're in the business. We're not here just to look cool and hang out. This is a business. We have bills to pay. We have families to take care of. We have responsibilities. We have lives to change and positivity to move forward to. So learn the business. So many artists get in the business and they just sign away their life or just get on because they want to look cool or they're trying to impress this one, impress that one. And then years later, they know about the business and then they're like, fuck. So learn the business. Learn the culture, learn the lifestyle, learn who's who. Don't do it because it's cool right now. Hip-hop started with breakdancing, graffiti, and a DJ.
Sure.
Learn that. Don't just follow because Yeezys are in right now because Kanye and Kim Kardashian. We've been wearing Adidas and shell toes. You know what I mean? Like, people want to jump on and stuff. So, and always be yourself. Everything goes up, must come down. Remain humble at all fucking times. People get a little money, they get a little fame, they start changing. Remain humble. Because God don't like ugly. Because everything goes up, comes down. Be yourself at all times. Anybody know Steve Lobel? They're like, damn, man, you never change, bro. You never change. You're still the same guy. I can't jump on the bandwagon of the trend of fashion. I got to stick to what's me and what's comfortable in me.
Sure.
You're going to like me for me.
There's nothing better than being yourself. You know, any regrets?
Yeah. Big regret. You know, my mom passed away. She used to call me all the time, like, come home for this wedding and this bar mitzvah, this Thanksgiving, this, you know, Rosh Hashanah, this Hanukkah, Christmas, New Year's, come hang out. And I was like, I'm over here with this one, I'm traveling over here, I'm making this money, I'm over there. And she's like, Steven, she called me Steven, like, Steven, you know, like, you need to find a girl, you need to start a family, you need to, you know, worry about family sometimes. And, you know, she was able to come to LA and see a house that I had built. But, you know, at the end of the day, you could take that house and take everything if I could have my mom back. But I didn't spend enough time with her. So when she died, I really took it really rough. And when I buried her at the cemetery, I turned around. I'm like, damn, man, I made a lot of motherfuckers rich and famous and this and that. And a lot of people weren't there to support me. So I woke up and realized, like, man, everybody's just out for themselves. Not everybody. And people just want what they could take from you and you know, use you and stuff like that. And shit, I was with a girl. She had left me. I wanted to kill myself. I was down, man. I was down.
What saved you? What pulled you up?
I said, damn, I lost my mom. And my mom died in my face. She died in my face. I was just in New York doing some business. I seen her. I was with her. We were laughing. And, you know, she had a nurse at the house. She wasn't sick, though. She had a nurse come and, like, you know, rub her legs and stuff because she had arthritis. And then we had to call an ambulance because she said she was bleeding out of her anal. She had colon cancer. But she was still good. And I left and went back to L.A. Because I stayed in New York and she got better. And so I stayed in so I got a call and they said, come back to New York. And I just came back from New York. I'm like, what? So I didn't believe my sister. She's like, come back, you know, you need to come back. I'm like, nah. So I sent my man Dirty to the house. And Dirty went over to the house and he called me. And he said, yo, get the fuck on a plane. And usually when I come to the East Coast, I take the red eye. So I jumped on a plane and I came to Queens, landed, went straight there. And my mom was fucking in a hospital bed in my living room on oxygen in a coma. Like, what does the fuck happen here in 48 hours? Because I was only gone for 48 hours. And my aunt was there, my sister was there, my nephew, my dad. And I'm like, what the fuck? And never had no one die in front of me. So I was in her ear, like, Mommy, I'm here, Mommy, I'm here, Mommy, I'm here, Mommy, I'm here. I was there for hours. And she opened her eyes, looked at me, and died. Mm-hmm. So she waited for me. And there's a saying that they say that. And I stayed in New York. I was fucked up. And then my girl had left me because, she's, you know, it was just bad timing. And I was just in my fucking house in Queens in the living room. And I tried to just, you know, do something stupid. And my cousin called the police because you can get arrested for that. And then she stopped. And then I was just fucking down, man. I was just down. I didn't want to talk. And I was fucked up. I was like, damn, man. And then I just got on my knees and prayed to God, like I always do, and God saved me.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing, man. I'm sure your mother's looking down at you very proud, man.
Yeah.
Look, I want to say
Angel.
this as we close out this episode. I want to say that, and I said this before, but I want to say it again. You know, you're a passionate dude, man, and it shows. You know, the people that fuck with you for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, and that means a lot. And then sometimes in this game, you know, you give your heart, you give your soul, you know. And I didn't do all that manager stuff to know that, but I just know people. You give your heart and your game and your soul, and sometimes you don't get back. But you the type of dude that don't do it just to get it back.
Nah, I'm a giver, like I said, and I'd rather give everybody else the credit and show them love and support them and congratulate them because I'm the coach.
Well, and you help, yeah, and you know you said the coach lasts longer
That's
than
the
the
name
player.
of my book. So I just be playing it back. But now recently, a lot of people want to talk to me, so I'll do interviews. And if I have an artist, I'll play my position, let them get the shine because there's no ego here. I'm not a cocky dude. I'm just confident. I'm a confident person who I am.
Of course.
I'm a real man. Because if we in the county jail right now on Rikers Island, I got to be a man. And you want to take my shoes, but you want to call me a bitch and you want to do this, I got to be a man. So I try to tell people every day in the industry that we're men. Don't let no one just disrespect you because you need to get a record played or disrespect you because this and that. So I'm a giver. I'm not a taker. Everybody knows me. They respect me. I'd rather be feared than loved. I know who loves me.
Yeah.
I know who loves me. So I'm navigating through a shark type of music business, which I know who my friends are, and I know who'll be at my funeral. I know who loves me and who wants to eat with me and help me and be there for me. Because we're in a shark type of business, and it's getting worse and worse now because it's a free-for-all now, and there's no rules in the music industry no more. It's a free-for-all.
Sure. And, you know, sometimes, like, you know, sometimes it takes...
OG Ted's calling.
It's some shouts out OG Ted. Sometimes it takes, you know, many years of experience to witness that, and you have. So, listen, we working. Hip hop don't know you. Where can they find you on Instagram? We working.
I mean, they can find me on Instagram. We working. You can Google Steve Lobel.
What about Twitter?
Twitter, Steve Lobel.
Steve Lobel.
Facebook, Steve Lobel and Agency Entertainment.
And you got some. Besides managing, you got some other things coming up. A book coming out.
Yeah, I got a book coming out called "A Coach Lasts Longer Than a Player."
Okay.
I got the Steve Lobel consulting business.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I got some TV stuff coming out.
Look at you.
I got the new Crazy Bone and Busy Bone album out right now. Scott's got a lot of stuff going on. I'm a hustler in a good way. You know, I got a lot of things going on. But sometimes I do say this: less is more, and quality over quantity beats it out. I just want to tell everybody out there that, man, God is great, and that patience and sacrifice and hard work is going to pay off. But if you think it's going to happen overnight, it's not.
Yeah.
And do what you love. Don't do it for the money. Just do it for the passion and the love, and everything will come back for you, and you'll make it in life. But you got to work hard at it. People just want to cheat the game and make it happen quick and think they got this followers or this and that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that rest in peace to my man Jam Master Jay that put me in this goddamn game. And I try to keep his name going and every time I do an interview and talk about this man because this man doesn't get the props that he deserves now. And Eazy-E, man, rest in peace, man. And thank you for introducing me to Bone Thugs and Harmony. And Pac for the Outlawz and Pun. Man, I love you, man. And I'll never forget the days that you were using my Motorola flip phone to call your kids and you were just Joe's hype man. And then things came out saying that you were an abusive husband and this and that. All you gave a fuck about was your kids and your wife. And Heavy D. And, you know, listen, you know, a lot of times, a lot of people die. And every day people die. But we go right to the names or, you know, the people that we, you know, celebrities and stuff. You know what I mean? But, again, I'm not saying this because they're rappers. These are my friends.
Sure.
And rest in peace to Biggie and my brother and so on and so forth. And that's why I try to tell people, like, you know, learn who's what, just don't do it. When Straight Outta Compton movie came out and everybody's taking that app, putting Straight Out of Ohio, Straight Out of here,
sure.
and not even know who the fuck Eazy-E was.
Yeah.
Not even know who NWA was, just to try to follow a trend. And I'm at the premiere, and I never seen the movie, and I'm up there like this. They giving so much love to Eazy-E. I'm like, fuck, thank God. Because there's Eazy-E, no Eazy-E, there's not a lot of, you know what.
Sure, not no Bone Thugs, you know. There's
a lot. Will I Am was signing Rufus, NWA,
Yep.
Eazy put the money behind it. It's a lot of things. We could sit here and talk, Pete,
Listen,
on and on
when
and
you
on.
drop your book, you're going to come back. We'll bring the return.
Shout out to April Walker.
Yes, definitely. We'll bring the return of Lobel. But listen, Steve, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for sitting. Thanks for talking, dropping gems, telling stories. And I appreciate you, and I'm sure the internet's going to fuck with this. A couple people asked me, I told you, they said, get Steve Lobel on the show. So listen, you got Steve Lobel, and he's dropping gems. He's not on cocaine.
I don't never did cocaine in my life. People think I'm on coke, but I'm not.
He's hype as fuck, man, and he's passionate, man. He's all heart. And listen, I wish the best for you, Steve.
And the same to you, and I appreciate you, Pete. God bless you.
Likewise. Internet, see you next episode. Make sure you subscribe, rate, tell a friend to tell a friend. Internet, Steve Lobel. See you next episode. Cheers.